Python looks simple on the surface, but underneath it has a very specific way of thinking, and once you understand that model, everything becomes easier. Bugs make more sense, errors make more sense, and the language stops feeling magical and starts feeling logical. Today I want to show you that model. Not the syntax, not the tricks, the mental model that makes Python click. In most languages, you create a variable. In Python, you don't. You create an object and you bind a name to it. This doesn't create a box called x that contains 10. It creates the object 10 and then binds the name x to it. A name is just a reference, a label, a pointer. This is the foundation of everything else. In Python, everything is an object. Integers, strings, functions, modules, even classes, even types. Every object has a type, a value, an identity. Identity never changes. Type never changes. Value might change if the object is mutable. This leads us to the next rule. Some objects can change, some can't. Immutable objects include ints, floats, strings, and tuples. Mutable objects, lists, dicts, and sets. This is why code like this behaves the way it does. Both names here point to the same object, so both change. It's not a bug, it's how Python works. It's the model. A Python list doesn't store values, it stores references. This creates a list object containing 3 references to 3 integer objects. This is why shallow copies behave strangely. It's why nested structures behave strangely. This is why mutation spreads. Once you see lists as containers of pointers, everything becomes predictable. When you write this, you're not copying anything. You are binding another name to the same object. This is why Python feels weird to people coming from C, C++, or Java. They expect assignment to create a new box. Python doesn't do that. It just creates another reference. There's an important nuance here. Consider this Java code. No one expects that changing Y will change X. This is because Java has primitives, not unlike those found in C and C++. In this case, we really can think of X and Y as buckets into which we pour some data. On the other hand, take a look at this Java code. Now the situation's different. X and Y aren't primitives, they're references to objects. When we mutate X, we also mutate Y. In Java, the key distinction is between value types, primitives, and reference types, objects. Python only has objects. In this Python code, X and Y aren't buckets, they're references. And yet it's still true in this case that changing Y doesn't change X. Why? Because the object they refer to is not mutable. It's an immutable integer. It can't be changed. The moment I run Python code that tries to change Y, Python will rebind Y to a new object with a new value. In Python, the key distinction is not between primitives and objects. Python doesn't have primitives. It only has objects. The key distinction is between mutable and immutable objects. But if Python doesn't have primitives, how can it possibly handle large arrays of numbers efficiently? For that, Python coders use Python packages written in highly efficient C or C++ to actually deal with their data under the hood. It's a different way of doing things, but it works. In Python, a function is just another object. You can store it in a list, pass it to another function, return it, assign it to a name. G here is now another name for the same function object. This is why decorators work. It's why callbacks work. And it's why Python feels flexible. Python resolves names using the LEGB rule: local, enclosing, global, built-in. When you reference a name, Python walks through these layers. When you assign to a name, Python creates it or updates it in the local scope, unless told otherwise. This is why global and non-local exist. They're not features, they're escape hatches. A for loop in Python doesn't loop. It asks an object for an iterator and then repeatedly calls next. Take a look at this. This works because lists are iterable, strings are iterable, files are iterable, generators are also iterable. Understanding this makes generators' comprehensions, lazy evaluation, streaming data all feel natural. When you import a module, for example like this, Python loads the module, creates a module object, and binds the name math to it. A module is just a namespace object, a dictionary of names. This is why you can do this with Python. You're just accessing attributes on a module object. Once you understand names, objects, mutability, references, containers, functions, scopes, iterables, and modules, Python stops being a collection of rules and it becomes a coherent system, a mental model. And once you have that model, you can reason about almost any piece of Python code, even code you've never seen before. If you want to go deeper into Python, step by step, with clear examples and real projects, that's exactly what I teach in the Python Mastery Bundle. It's designed to take you from the basics to building things confidently, without confusion or guesswork. And you can find the link in the description. Python isn't complicated, it just has a way of thinking. Once you learn that way of thinking, the language opens up. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy coding.